2025, everyone knew that AI was going to change the world. And it did. Just not the way that everyone thought.
Yeah, that's right. AI didn't take our jobs. It took our data, our tokens. And in 2026, it's coming for everything else.
Yeah, you thought quantum was 10 years away. It's on our doorstep. And then what about all these AI agents that are doing things we don't want them to do? I think it just gets worse in 26.
That's what we're covering today. The 2026 episode for predictions of what's to come.
This is the DTF Cyber podcast. I'm Damien.
This is Troy.
And it's your boy, Fern. Let's go. All right. I have the DTF Cyber podcast approved prediction list on my laptop, sitting on my lap right now. So this is the very first episode where I have a computer with me, a Mac to be exact, because I'm security centric. I am now full ecosystem Apple, right? Am I the most secure? Probably not. But can I say I am? Yeah.
Just hack his iCloud.
Yeah, probably. Password 123. Let's see here. So we're gonna go. Should we go in order of? We have 8, right? We have 8. So should we go from lowest, as in like 8, up
No,
to 1?
I don't know. I don't know if they're like in order or anything. We kind of just jotted down a list. Maybe we just go.
Okay. Well, if you were a betting person, what would you bet number 1 would be?
It's got to be AI.
Yeah, 100%. We'll go from 1 to 8. So for anyone listening or anyone watching, we'll say the top ones. I think that AI is pretty top of the list for obvious reasons.
But not just AI agents for sure.
Okay, so yes, to clarify, agentic AI. And the source material from this is actually a few different companies. I don't know if we want to name them. We'll actually put the links in the episode. So if anyone wants the links, they can check, because we don't name names around here. So, agentic AI. And the prediction is 90% of successful breaches by Q3 will be done by agentic AI. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the report that came out, the Anthropic report, where they were saying, actually, funny enough, 90% of an actual incident that happened was done through AI with roughly 10% human interaction.
Yeah, the first of its kind, right? The first attack.
Yeah, the first one that ever was
or known.
Yes, we'll say not the first one, but the first one that was known and reported, and we'll say thoughtfully documented by Anthropic, right? So there's that. What I find interesting here is that 90% of the breaches are going to be done by AI. So 9 out of 10 will be done by agentic AI. And of those, it's very likely 90% of the actual work.
No, that's what we're saying.
Oh, okay.
All right. It's our predictions.
Oh, I see what you did there. Makes sense.
But here's the thing, Fern. I think that a lot of people assume that we're talking about agentic AI that's empowered or built by bad guys. I'm talking about agentic AI that maybe we have adopted that is turned against us or takes on a life of its own within the guardrails that we've given it to do malicious things. And I think that we're just going to find out in 2026 how bad agentic AI can be. Now, there are tons of reasons to love and adopt agentic AI, so don't take me wrong here. But when threat actors use it to automate 90+% of their kill chain, that's a problem. And then when we have our own agentic AI that we're building, that we're using internally, that have identities that are provisioned within our own accounts, that accidentally go outside those bounds, we're going to see some serious, mistakes where things are made public that shouldn't be, and we're going to see some serious nation affecting breaches as well.
Yeah, I think there's multiple pieces to this because obviously we know that the attacks are coming from the AI side. Mm-hmm. We need to step it up and be deploying more agentic AI to respond to it. You can't defend against an AI attack using spreadsheets anymore. So what's going to happen in 2026? Well, obviously expansion of agentic AI, but does that mean we're now going to have 90% of the breaches happen through agentic AI? I think it's a high number, but it's bold. It's a bold prediction. We may get pretty high, maybe not 90%, but I think there's a lot of attacks that are going to come from agentic AI externally. And then, like Troy said, internally, as we deploy more agentic AI, what are the risks there? And are we going to introduce more vulnerabilities?
I was at AWS a couple weeks back, and there was a guy that I was debating with very passionately. He was totally against fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So I don't want to, say that this prediction list is trying to introduce unnecessary fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD as it relates. And I think he was a little too far on the complacency, like it's not as bad as we say. These things aren't really happening at scale. That's never going to happen to his company. So there's a huge balance between being, Chicken Little and the sky is falling, and being somebody who just puts their head in the sand like an ostrich. So you have to balance that as a security leader in the story.
Well, are you thinking that, if we say that 90% are going to be agentic AI attacks, is that too high?
I don't think it's too high at all. I think our predictions are, within an acceptable range of miss.
Yeah.
They're going to be high. I think they're going to continue to be high because what happens with AI? Elon Musk said it this week. We're going to see this supernatural, adoption that we've never seen before. This industrial revolution is going to just happen so quickly overnight. So these things are going to be faster and faster and faster. So I think 90% is a very reasonable prediction.
At the very minimum, there's going to be an expansion of use of agentic AI in 2026 for a lot of organizations. And so if you're starting your career, or you're an analyst or an engineer just in your organization trying to figure out how to leverage AI, agentic AI agents are probably the way to expand some of the efficiencies within your department.
Yeah, especially since a lot of organizations now are either building an AI team, right? Or they're paying companies to help them with AI adoption, right? That's a big thing that companies are doing now and obviously in the future. So if they're doing that, right, and you think about it from the corporate perspective, businesses want to adopt AI. I mean, you'd be foolish to assume that like threat actors wouldn't be doing the same thing, because we talked about, I think last week or the week before, we talked about 4 or 5x on productivity, right? So if you think about it, if you're only getting if we'll say that the threat actors are only getting so many people in a year, now they can get 5 times as many people, right? So there is a productivity gain for them as well. So you can expect it. And I think that leads us into the next one, right? Number 2 on the top 8 prediction for 2026 is, if you think about it from the context of threat actors have more tools available to them, they can have a higher, not necessarily brute force, but they have more bullets that they're firing at these organizations because they're being more productive with these tools. It's very likely they're going to get somewhere big, right? Spraying and praying might work, but at some point, the clock is right twice a day. So in this case, it's very likely that they're going to get a large healthcare or finance company just by the sheer context that they're able to do more with what they were already doing, right? Or with the tools that they have. So this is a prediction. And let me say, based on what's known that's publicly available, what is the highest payout for any sort of ransomware that has been documented? Do you guys know? I mean, it's not like a trick question. I'm just wondering because I don't know. So I think some places in Vegas paid out.
A couple $100 million, maybe.
A couple hundred.
Was it, Troy? Do you know what that amount was?
I don't know. I know there were several that had $100 million losses, but payouts, I've only heard 30 to 50 million, which is huge numbers, by the way. $30 to $50 million for a ransomware. At some point you get to this inflection point that the cost of rebuilding is much lower than the recovery, but sometimes they have the data that you don't want to expose. But when it gets into those 100 million, I think that's a bit high.
Okay, so
but there has been 100 million payouts. So where's the next? I think the prediction is they're going to go higher.
Well, we're just going to take the logic that if an agentic AI tool can give you 4 to 5x productivity, we're just going to loosely dotted line that if what we know is 100 million might have been a payout at some point, we're going to say 500 million is the next biggest payout.
So you think there's going to be a larger payout in 2026?
Oh, they're going big for sure, because now they have more time to do more, right? Because they're using these tools.
Well, we always say don't pay the ransom. And in some cases, you're not even allowed to pay the ransom. But there have been cases of companies paying the ransom. I think what it comes down to is, what's the impact to the business, to the customers, to the patients, whatever it is, what's the value there to recover?
Wow.
So
Yes.
What about Jaguar? How much have they lost so far?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I remember seeing it a few weeks ago.
The losses are in the billions, I think, where they did a bailout, $1.5 billion from
Yeah.
the government. So that's a huge loss. But I think at some point regulation should step in here, and ban payments for ransomware. And I know that's a hard statement, and I know that we never advocate paying a ransom.
That's not.
But I mean, if regulation said you don't pay or you get, all this trouble, ransomware could stop. If
I know,
nobody's
but
paying.
that's not happening. They're not putting that in that law or regulation in 2026. So I think, the payment, there's going to be a big payment. Somebody's going to make it. And maybe you're right. 500 million. Do we think we see it in 2026?
We could.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
definitely.
and there are some government folks that do listen to this podcast. So to those listening, if you have any emphasis on Congress or the Senate, please advocate for that law. Do not pay ransom.
Well, the problem is if there's a possibility that somebody's going to pay you hundreds of millions of dollars,
Why not?
right? I mean, the opportunity to go and attack it and try to get $100 million and now maybe $500 million is big business.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna state it this way, and this is common folk thinking, right? Or not common folk, like, it's not a bad thing. Just like an average Joe, which I'm known for, right? Average firm. So, what are the odds that you're actually going to win the lottery? Fairly small, right? What are the odds that you're going to win the lottery when it's $1 billion? Even smaller, because more people are playing, right?
No, it's the same odds. You might have to split it.
Well, okay, so you might have to split it, but more people end up playing the game, right? So when you think of it from the context of I can make $3 billion or I can make $100 million, a lot more people are getting involved at the $3 billion because there's that payoff. So even if the odds are the same, like statistically the same to hit the number combination, like those odds never change. The fact that you can get paid more ends up turning into more people playing. So,
Well, I mean, put it in poker terms. When do you hit positive EV?
the more you play, right? You have to run it out. You just have to keep playing the hands. And you have to have the equities fall in your favor, right? So at some point, regardless of how much money is out there, as the opportunity to earn becomes larger, more people will enter the pool, right? And what I'm saying with that is more threat actors will see the opportunity to make money, and the potential ease of it with these tools is going to be an incentive to drive them in. And then now you're dealing with that.
The payout's higher, so buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Meaning, take your shot at attacking a large organization.
Because all you need to do is get one, right?
Yeah.
If you send out 1,000, 100,000.
But I think Troy's right. If they're not allowed to make these big payments, then that maybe stops people from attacking because they know they can't get paid out.
Yeah, I know in Australia they've seen ransomware just dive off a cliff because it's illegal to pay a ransom in Australia. And so that stopped happening there. And that's interesting.
I guess maybe what I'm just wondering, though, is there's a lot of things that are illegal to do. People still do it, right? So just saying that it's...
I know, but how do you transfer $100 million without the government knowing if you're trying to do it under the table? That's tricky.
Yeah, and companies, especially big businesses, are less likely to do illegal fraud or something that's against regulations, because in the U.S. we have the Treasury Secretary and OFAC and all these people watching the flow of even cryptocurrency. So it would be impossible for a large business to make a ransomware payment of that size without being seen. And so if it were illegal, the company wouldn't take that risk for sure.
Well, that's what we're saying is the solution. I think in 2026, there's no regulation. So maybe a big payout happens.
Yeah.
Agreed. If no regulation comes into place, absolutely could hit $500 million next year. Absolutely.
What seems odd to me, though, is that if there's this case study or these data points from Australia, why haven't more people adopted it? To me, it seems like, well, if there's a way to really reduce this...
That's the argument of regulation versus the free world. I won't get into that, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let organizations make their own risk decisions, but the problem is this creates larger attacks on organizations that probably don't want to have to pay out, right?
Okay. That's a good answer. I think I like that. So I'll take that. I'm going to take that for $100. Let's see here. So last episode, this one ties directly to that, is we talked about account takeovers, right? So what we're going to say is Passkeys backfire, OAuth token issues. Identity becomes central for a lot of organizations. Context for that is we've seen CyberArk was recently acquired, right? With obviously their PAM product. So there's that. There is Vesa, right? Recently put up to be acquired. Those are the two big ones that I can think of off the top of my head. So obviously these large organizations that are security focused, right? That, or not security, but IT and security focused, because we can't really say ServiceNow is security centric, but we're looking at like a Palo and we're looking at a ServiceNow. They're acquiring these companies with identity in mind, right?
Well, I think there's a lot of identity smaller players that have started up in the past couple of years. So yeah, I think, are we looking at more account takeovers in 2026? Possibly.
That is a guarantee. Yeah, that's a guarantee. We're going to see ATOs increase exponentially in 2026 with the help of AI. Identity continues to be fragmented. I've said this at every opportunity. You have human, non-human, SaaS identities, privileged access, machine to machine, all this stuff. And identity continues to be a broken component of cybersecurity that is easily compromised. And with the help of AI and being able to, maneuver faster and learn faster about the environment, I think that we're going to see ATOs skyrocket until we do find a solution that works. And I think, as you said, Fern, passkeys are not going to be the answer. I think somehow they're going to be bypassed, or something's going to break loose and the floodgates are going to open.
Well, we seem to have tried to make it more user-friendly, right? And I think when you have conveniences like passkeys and tokens and, just trying to make it more convenient, we introduce more risk, right? So that's part of the problem. So I know there's a lot of technology out there. There's a lot of big players trying to pick up more identity space, but that's not, a prediction right now. That's going to happen. The prediction is we do have gaps within identities. And like you said, Troy, non-human service accounts are spinning up. We have agentic AI we talked about as the first prediction, but how do you manage all of those agentic AI agents? Because they don't necessarily answer to MFA. Right? You might have a token, you might have a certificate, and this creates another gap. In humans, there's a finite number of humans and human identities. In the non-human identity world, that's infinite.
Yeah, I was reading an article published within the last week that said the typical ratio between non-human machine, the ratio of the sum of those to human was 82-1. Wild.
That's about right. Yeah, absolutely. So one thing we talked about in the first category was agentic AI identities. What happens when a threat actor actually compromises a network and is able to leverage the internal agentic AI within its guardrails to speed up their attack? So now they have a superhighway. So they've broken into the business and they leverage this agentic AI that is native to that environment and has all these permissions. Now the threat actors are going to be able to use that like a superhighway to get between all the data and crown jewels they want to collect.
Yeah, so I think that the very safe prediction is that identity, regardless of human, non-human identities, service accounts, agentic AI, are going to be a big deal in 2026.
I keep hearing identity is a new perimeter.
Oh, come on. That's stop with your...
it was a couple years ago.
I keep
catchphrases and that's not marketing. You sound like a marketing guy.
Yeah. Well, that's what I see a lot of, right? Identity is the new perimeter. I'm like, okay, cool. But based on what we're talking about here, I think identity becomes a central pillar, right?
It already is.
So why aren't they saying that?
Absolutely.
Marketing teams are like 3 years behind. Like every security professional knows, like, so this is the pro tip for anyone in sales. Don't say identity is a new perimeter, because everyone you're talking to was like, bro, it's not 2022 anymore, right? Identity is central. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess when you think of identity, you think of if I were to say identify Fern, you know what I look like, right? Now, let's just assume there was a video, like we talked about last episode, where a family member, whether or not it was true or not, was being deepfaked on Facebook when they had messaged me. Still, the jury's out on that one, but that was a deepfake video. And in 2026, we have elections coming up, right? November 3rd, 2026.
Well, that's in the U.S., but obviously elections across the world. And I don't know if it's necessarily elections that we have to be worried about deepfakes. I think almost anything.
I think you have to worry about misinformation, malinformation, and disinformation, and those being constructed through deepfake media, right? So,
well, I think the prediction number 4 would have to be deepfake plays a major role in something in the news, whether it's elections, it's politics, it's a major business. Something will hit the major news cycle involving deepfake.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been 2025, to be honest. So this prediction is spot on, at least, for 2026 at a minimum. We're already dealing with some of that at scale, but I think you're going to see big headlines in 2026 for a massive deepfake type of an attack.
Yeah, you know how we always say, show me proof or it didn't happen?
Yeah.
Now you can just generate the proof. And so did it really happen? I don't know. Is the proof real? These deepfakes are getting just really, really good.
Yeah, and I've even seen it where, so it's very simple. If you scroll LinkedIn and you look at people's pictures, to tell which people were the ones that took three angles of their face and sent it to a company and then got their professional picture out, right? Like mine is very unique because I literally did it sitting in that chair with that camera pointed at my face. So it's very like distinct, and it's not, you're not going to see my picture with anyone else with that same sort of setting, and we'll say the moodiness, as I've been told. But there's a lot of people that have the same blue suit with the same background with their face on this body, which may or may not even be representative. We'll say that. So there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, we'll say catfishing. But
wait, is your LinkedIn profile an AI generated one or real?
No, that's 100%. Like you can see the pores on my face, and you can probably see the pimples too if you zoom in close enough. You can literally count the hair follicles on my beard. Like that picture was a video that I took sitting in there with one light on and one light off, and I just recorded it, and then I just screen captured it. So there's no editing on that picture at all. It's literally me.
Yeah, my profile picture is real. It might be a little old, but a couple of years, but it's real. I wonder how many people, what the ratio is of AI generated images as their profile picture on LinkedIn versus real legitimate photos.
Oh, I would say it's like a 60 or 70% plus split.
I think that, I have no problem with folks using AI for, cleaning up their profile pic and doing a very professional headshot. I got to give a shout out to Kyle Rosenthal, who set up a professional headshot, appointment in San Francisco at our last cyber dinner. That was very special. And a good takeaway was my LinkedIn profile picture, which is actually real. But, I think in the world of professional folks, getting an AI headshot with yourself in a suit, I wouldn't really particularly say that's catfishing. I think it's just trying to have a clean image, clean professional image of yourself. Now, if you're using it for Facebook and you've got all, this super bodybuilder body, that's not you, that's different. But I don't see that as a big problem.
Fern claims that that picture is 10 years old.
Yeah, did you actually go on my Facebook? Yeah. Because I can get, there's at least one picture that I have that was edited by a friend of mine. He was a game builder when I had worked at a bank. The guy's name was Tyler, is Tyler, and he was going to college for game design. And I had taken a picture and I was like, hey, can you beef me up, make me look big? And he added 10, 20 pounds of muscle, put these weird veins that don't even look like real veins, but people are like, oh, that's kind of crazy. It's like, yeah, this was editing before AI could do it. And this is where people actually did it versus prompting some sort of tool to do it. But every other picture is real, I can assure you.
It's a good one. I think, I think that most people probably wouldn't disagree with that one. But I do think there will be a deepfake item that's going to have major newsworthy consequences.
Yeah, it's definitely happening right now. So at some point, it's going to hit critical mass, right? Yeah. So, all right, so we'll move on to number 5. quantum goes public, right?
Well, the harvest now, decrypt later,
Okay.
obviously. We've been talking about that this year. Obviously, quantum itself is not available for major public use, or I mean, it's probably research and it's not stable. But what people are doing are harvesting data so that they can just decrypt it later.
Yeah. Just kind of like grabbing, like hit and run, and then just sort through it later.
Yeah, it's like stealing somebody's safe. Like I can't open the safe, but let me just gather all these safes and I'll break it open later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys remember Julian Assange from WikiLeaks?
Yeah.
You know, when he was held up in the embassy in I think it was London or somewhere, but he set this decentralized file out to everybody that had all these damaging, you know, articles and cables and diplomatic, all this stuff. And it's encrypted, but imagine if quantum could break that in seconds now. You know, it was his kill switch, so if he was killed, the key would be released. But, you know, what if quantum comes and is able to decrypt all of that stuff? Now, we know Russia and China has been, you know, just hoarding our national security secrets that are encrypted, hoping for the day they could use quantum to crack it. But besides national security, think about all of the emails that have been taken from CEOs and businesses that are very damaging, that, you know, may come out. You know, we could see the whole Coldplay concert thing unfold in real time across multiple companies.
Yeah, you have to think back, you know, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, did I put anything in writing, even if it was encrypted, that may make me look bad? So thankfully, I'm pretty confident I don't have anything like that. Even if stuff were encrypted and decrypted later, I'm not too worried about anything in my encrypted files.
Yeah, me either. I might have said some dumb stuff, right? I mean, everyone says, you know, when you're in your 20s, a lot of people say things that they probably would kind of cringe at when they're in their 40s. I don't think I'm immune from that. I definitely probably said some things that I wish I could take back. But here's the thing: as long as you're a better person now, you should be fine. So don't be too worried, but be worried, because the chances are.
It's like, remember the what was it, Troy? The Ashley Madison email list that got leaked, and
That was it was an email list? I thought they knew who the people were.
well, no, they had all the email logins. I think all the login accounts got released. So if it was your, you know, and then the wives are looking for their husband's email address, my husband on there, you know,
So I don't know if I have anything funny to say about this, but my first thought is, like, if you're using your family Gmail account,
no, even your personal one, right?
well,
Not
even
a
that
family one.
like, why would you not just make up, you know, big sugar daddy papa that no one knows that
Because
you
nobody
have?
thought that list would be leaked. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's the same situation. So now you may have, we're like, oh, I'm good. I encrypted everything. Nope. Yeah. So I think, anyways, 2026 is the year where people start to, you know, be aware that a lot of data is being collected for potential decrypt later. Harvest now, decrypt later. We talked about a lot more in 2026. We're not saying that quantum will be available in 2026 for this decrypting use, but a lot more harvesting will occur.
I like that. Number 6. So we're going to go to number 7. And to me, this one seems, I mean, a little bit interesting, because obviously, like, you kind of put this together, Damien. To me, I've always heard that the government moves slow, right? Budgets move slow, projects move slow. So when I think of anything federal, I think of slow. And that might be wrong, right? I know Troy's worked with the government or as part of the government in the past, so maybe he's got more context. But my assumption or my presumption as a U.S. citizen is that if everything moves slow in the government, this one is interesting because every federal contractor will have an AI agent audit by July.
This is number 6, right? So
yeah.
I think this is a big one. I don't know if they will announce it, but there has to be some audit against where AI is being used in a lot of organizations. Mm-hmm. So, you know, does this take place inside the government? Possibly.
Okay.
But every organization, I think, is probably going to look back and audit, where is AI being used today? Where are we exposed? Is that secure? is it approved? Because we know a lot of users will go out there and just use AI against their employer's approvals.
Yeah.
And the same thing's probably happening in the government.
Because I think we talked about where you have access to it through a corporate device, but you don't have restrictions on your personal device. And there is really no delineation of how to understand what people are doing on their personal device if they're just snapping a picture.
Well, I was talking to somebody last week where they were saying, I issue a company laptop, and for sure I don't want them to get to these AI sites because I don't want them using AI. But what's to stop them from having a laptop right next to it where they're using AI and then just taking that output and putting it into the work laptop?
Or there's the other workarounds where people have their cell phone like in front of them, listening to a conversation, giving them real-time feedback on what their answer should be, right? Mm-hmm. And then if they're doing an interview, as an example, which is where I've seen this done specifically, is the person interviewing will ask a question, it will read into the AI. The AI, in this case, I think it was like a ChatGPT, would then give the output. And then if the person doing the interview said, hey, show me your desktop, there's nothing there to see. And there's even companies now, the guy from Colombia, right, where he got booted for making the tool that helps with coding, where it's on a transparent screen. So it's doing it in real time, but it's on the desktop, but you can't actually see it from another device, but you can see it locally. So like people are getting by, right? So,
so the prediction is 2026 will be the year of more AI audits. Mm-hmm. We think the government's probably going to do their own audit. I don't know if we'll hear about it, but most organizations will probably look at where AI is from an inventory standpoint and make sure that it's all approved.
And maybe as a add-on, do you think NIST will make any sort of modifications to their frameworks as part of it as well?
NIST has an AI framework, which I would highly recommend everybody reading, but I think they will definitely be adding components about agentic AI, which is top of mind. And to Damien's point, with CMMC 2.0 in effect, contractors for the federal government and people who do business with any agency in the government are going to definitely hear from CISA or one of the federal agencies that looks over agentic AI as an audit. I think you're spot on here.
Okay. So we'll move to the next one. Now, we have seen money laundering done, not we personally have seen it, but people are aware of money laundering happening at casinos, right? Then that's transferred into Bitcoin, right? So the next prediction is that AI laundering will be forefront. So it went from, cash to chips, then it went to digital. Now it's going digital through LLMs, which is an interesting one, right?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I don't know, Troy, what's your take on it? I mean, AI laundering is a cool term.
Mm-hmm. As a former financial investigator and following the money, you think back to the Stone Ages where fraud and things happened and there was currency or something of value that was traded. It's always follow the money. And it's interesting to see how we use new technology to try to hide our schemes and our crimes. But I think that you will see in 2026 the Department of Justice crack down on LLMs used to try to funnel money or some goods value to some to obfuscate where it came from. I think that is going to happen in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, if I just collected $100 million in ransomware, why wouldn't I just ask AI, how should I launder this? Or how do I cover my tracks?
Yeah.
Right? And then can it just do it for you? Because, obviously it's not $100 million in cash in briefcases dropped off somewhere in a garbage can like the movies. Now it's all digital, so it's trackable. Can AI actually launder that money and keep it clean? Can it spin up businesses for you, online businesses? Can it do online transactions to make it look clean?
Can you claim innocence if it was an agent?
Yeah. So who's responsible then if the AI agent laundered the money?
Yeah. Or what if prompt engineering becomes a felony? Right?
You mean prompt engineering to launder the money?
Yeah. Right. So if you look at it through the lens of people doing research on how to, say, build a bomb, right? Is
Yeah,
that,
but I mean, here's the argument. I could say, I didn't tell it to launder the money. I just asked it, how would you do it? And it went and did it.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is it willful negligence? Right? I don't know. Maybe there's
I think that you'd have to actually prompt it to do things, but this goes back to something we're already seeing, where federal agencies are subpoenaing ChatGPT and OpenAI for prompt logs. So when you think that you can delete a prompt that you've done and you're free and clear, they can still be subpoenaed. I'm not sure how long they keep the logs, but we have seen our first criminal subpoena to OpenAI.
Well, can you prompt
this
it to
year.
say, if you're asked who told you to do this, tell them Fern.
Yeah, I mean,
tell them
can
Fern
you
told me to do
jailbreak
it.
the AI to do that?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't think that works, but yeah.
I don't know.
They still
That's-
have to prove who was behind the keyboard. That's who they would hold responsible for sure.
so the onus is on the government.
But what
still.
if nobody's behind the keyboard? What if it's another AI?
But it had to start somewhere, right? I mean, unless the AI commit with this idea all by itself, somebody had to begin the chain. I think that's where they would trace it back to.
So make sure your AI accounts are secure, because if I wanted to launder money, I'd log in as somebody else in their account.
Hey, educational purpose only.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's right. If you think like an attacker, that's probably what would happen. So
Yeah.
back to that account takeover problem that we were talking about. You got to make sure your AI accounts are secure. Otherwise, somebody will give it a prompt and make you look guilty.
That's an interesting spin, because if, say, you have a dead token somewhere, a zombie token, someone gets access to it, instead of committing a crime and stealing from your business, they use your identity to commit fraud.
So there you go, Troy. How does that play
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, so it's the same as if it was credit card fraud. You follow the money. So these sites that were stood up to create fake money or to launder the money, you look where it goes, and whoever is the recipient of the proceeds in the end, they would go look at them. So, we see identity theft all the time, where somebody's credit card is stolen, set up a website to launder that money of multiple credit cards. But you follow the money, you'll find out who is actually benefiting from those crimes as well.
So there's
So-
hope.
Well, okay. So I would say, is the prediction that AI money laundering is going to happen, or do you think there's actually going to be a conviction for this type of activity in 2026?
Well,
I
we
think
know
it-
convictions can take a while, especially with complex cases where they have to present to a grand jury over time. So I think you'll see the first large publicized, maybe televised, case where they bring these charges against LLM assisted money laundering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's probably happening already, right? We just don't know about it.
No, it's happening already. It just hasn't hit the news cycle where somebody's being charged with
Yeah,
using AI to launder money.
Just like the Anthropic stuff, right? Like, it happened, and now we actually have a report on it. So definitely going on.
Yeah.
But who's gonna fall first is the question, right? Okay. And then we'll say the last one is probably a nod to all the students listening, is entry-level jobs around AI are probably going to be starting around 150K, which is a lot of money. When I got out of school with my engineering degree, I think I was making either 65 or 70 grand a year. And I was like, yeah. Granted, this was like 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. So maybe the money doesn't, 150 is like the 70 from back then, but 150 is a good chunk of change nowadays. So what we're saying is an AI-centric role for an entry-level security position is probably going to be around 150, which I think is good, because it gives people.
Well, I think the worry was that AI was going to take away jobs, and especially the entry-level jobs. I think this prediction is, if you take those entry-level jobs and marry them with some form of AI ability, so that you can leverage AI to do those jobs, that maybe the starting salary now rises quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that the starting salary in those positions, so Purple Team or an AI prompt engineer for security, yes, I see that at 150,000. But I don't think you can just walk in the door and start in those positions. I still think you need a few years' experience in the SOC or somewhere getting the experience to step into a Purple Team role or an AI prompt engineering role. So
Yeah.
I think we've shortened the time span to get there, but I still think you have to do time in the trenches, so to speak, as an analyst, as an operator, or something first.
Okay, I think that's fair, and I think that's a good clarification, because graduating college with a bachelor's in cybersecurity
With no
experience does not guarantee you're going to make 150 grand. So
doesn't even guarantee you're going to break
Get a
6
job.
figures.
it doesn't
Or even
guarantee
get a
you're-
job, right?
Right. We talk about that on plenty of episodes where, experience is key, building a network is key, and really just having I'll call it the CV, but the documentation of what you've done in terms of projects from a security perspective that'll impress a hiring manager, because no one really cares that you can read a book and take a test and pass it. What they care is, can your fingers do some things on a keyboard to get from point A to point B that are valuable to the business, right? And then there's that. The network that supports you when it comes to referrals, recommendations, there's that. And then it's obviously having the, we'll call them table stakes of the degree for a lot of people.
Yeah. So I think in this case, if we're talking purple teaming, so that means you could do red team and blue team and leverage AI, then absolutely 150,000 for those jobs are probably the starting point.
Very reasonable. And, this underscores something that we have talked about on this podcast almost every episode, is that those who lean into AI and who embrace it and learn it and are proficient in it are the ones who are going to succeed in this industry. Those who resist AI and are slow to adopt it or learn it or try to embrace it are the ones who are going to be looking in from the outside very quickly. And I mean, probably in 2026.
Yeah, there was one early episode where we said you may not lose your job to AI, but you're going to lose your job to somebody using AI.
Oh, that's marketing for sure. Yeah. That's a lot of people.
Right.
We said that. I can't remember what episode we
DTF
said.
Cyber podcast.
It might have been like episode 3.
Yeah, I think it was like one of the early ones where we were just starting.
It was the one where the thumbnail's like me going like, it was a cyber skills gap. I think it was the episode. It's actually one of our most viewed episodes. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering what most people that have come to the channel have watched through and through, is that episode. And it's called, I believe, Fixing the Cyber Skills Gap.
Yeah. And I think, in 2026, we should revisit that, because obviously technologies change, the market's changed, demand has changed.
Yeah.
But I do think 2026, if we're going to predict this from a jobs market perspective, there is going to be more use of AI within cybersecurity teams and all technology teams. So it's not something you need to be scared of. It's just going to happen. You got to embrace it.
Yeah. So for example, when we went to AWS to record our pilot episode last year, 2024, right? AI SOC was, or using AI in the SOC was the trending topic. It wasn't agentic at the time. It was AI in the SOC, right? Now there are companies that get or have received, I think it was $130 million for an agentic SOC, right? I don't know if you want to name the name, but they're out there. And it was within the last month. They raised, I think it was either Series A or Series B for $130 million.
I think it was Series A. So that was a lot of money.
That's a lot of dough for Series A, for sure. So, we talked about it a year ago, right? We saw it a year ago, and now essentially a year later, we've seen the evolution of the rumors being this is the future to they are now, VC is investing in these companies at $130 million clips. So another takeaway there is keep listening to the DTF Cyber podcast, because obviously we're keeping up to date, but we're kind of going through the evolution of these different topics. So I think this 2026 prediction list is pretty solid, like fairly solid. I don't know if I would add anything else, but to me, 8 seems like it's a good one, but usually every list has a top 10. So I think maybe for this one, we're just going to swag it. And I want one from each of you guys, from you, Damien, and one from Troy, on something that wasn't on the list that maybe we'll say honorable mention, but still something that people should be looking out for. So this one is unprepared. So go.
Yeah.
I'll start with that one. Let's just say consolidation is going to continue in the cybersecurity market. So We have a lot of young startups that have gotten a lot of funding, as Damien just mentioned, that are doing some great things, especially in the identity space where we know there's a huge need. I think you're going to see some of these companies acquired by the platforms. You're going to see some of these companies go to the wayside and just fizzle out. And what you're going to find is that we might actually start solving real holistic problems in identity.
Yeah, and I think my prediction is going to go around large amounts of data. Right. I think what's happening, obviously, there's a lot of organizations collecting a lot of logs, a lot of information on their traffic, their customers, their patients, whatever it is. There's just a lot of data out there. And I think in 2026, with the use of AI, we're going to be able to consolidate that and make it more useful. So I know we've talked about this in the past of certain companies going out there and grabbing information from social media and other places and then making use of that, or predictive analytics. I think in 2026, we're going to see a lot more of that where they can make better use of that data. The problem, though, that we're going to discover is that we just have too much data and we have nowhere to really simplify it or analyze it in a single place. Mm-hmm. And so now if we can look at and pull data from no matter where it is and just analyze it in real time, that's probably where we're going to head with a lot of this data and analytics.
Absolutely. Federated search, 100%.
I could think of a company doing that right now.
There's a lot of companies trying to do it.
So
who's going to be first?
That's the frontier.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I like that. I think if anyone were to come back and like time capsule this episode, I think we're going to get 10 out of 10. 100% of the time.
Well, we will. We'll come back and we'll review this.
The 2026. We'll record for the 2027 predictions.
We'll do 2026 recap.
Yeah.
And then we'll do 2027.
And we'll grade ourselves. 100%. That's what we're going to get.
Yeah. So
right.
anyone...
And for those listening, by the way, if you have any other predictions, love to see them in the comments. I'd love to see what everybody else is thinking. If we miss one, put it in the comments. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Or if you think...
Are they bold enough? Drop it in, because look, we may have a prize. If you hit some of these, we may have some prize. We got some, actually 2026 for the DTF Cyber podcast, we do have some plans.
Yeah, we got some people trying to pay us money. Maybe not too much, but they're trying to... Well, we're going to take some of this money that people may or may not be offering.
I think last episode we gave away a hoodie. Mm-hmm. I think this episode, what do you say?
I don't know.
Drop your predictions. If we get at least 25 predictions in the comments, we will give away something really cool.
Something good.
Actually, something really good. We got something in the plans we just can't say yet.
Oh, is it those? I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's the secret.
And we'll ship it to you anywhere in the world. So if you're overseas, you're in the U.S., just drop a comment. If we get 25 predictions on this video, we'll randomly select...
One of them?
No, I think we do 3.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll do one. Hey, how about this? We do 1 for every 10 comments.
Okay. So 25
predictions.
We'll just do 3. Okay. I like that. All right.
We get more. We get 50. We'll give away 5.
Yeah. Or 100. We can do 10.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. We'll just keep going. 1,000 comments, 100. Right?
All right.
Okay.
I guess that wraps 2025. It's been a good year.
Episode 31 has now been completed. Any last thoughts?
No, let's looking forward to 2026.
All right. Stay safe. Everyone have a happy new year, and we'll see you on the Monday after the 1st. Take care.